G'day everyone, welcome back to another episode of Markets and Matchups. At first we'll talk about the markets and then we've got a big week of footy to talk about. Luke, markets, what's been happening?
A lot in markets, as always. Market closed at a fresh record high on the week. A little bit down on Friday, but nonetheless a strong Wednesday and Thursday. Got us back up towards those records. But we're into reporting season now and brings volatility, but also I think it really shows where businesses are. And some of the sort of highlights for me or just interesting things that I've seen is, some action in that housing market. So Westpac shares were off 5% when they said their mortgage applications were down 20% since the budget. Scali, their Australian business was about flat, and REA said listings are down 2% in July. So a few question marks around that property market. I know, we focus on the equity side of things and we like to think that the property market doesn't really affect what we do. It's obviously a massive driver of the Aussie economy. So I think it's something we've got to be watching out and we'll see it start to affect some of those businesses that, are really exposed to it. Yeah, for sure. So, as Luke said, a big week of earning reporting. And then in America, we've got US consumer inflation data coming out on Wednesday, US wholesale inflation data out on Thursday, and then retail sales data coming out on Friday. Alrighty, well, we had another very big week of footy over the weekend. Of course, we've got to start with the Warriors. I think that's kind of tradition. Big win over the Panthers. My guy, Luke Metcalf, for the double, so I was pretty happy with that. Did you manage to watch that one? Yeah, well, we know why Scali isn't here. Obviously, didn't want to cop it from you. But that was awesome. I mean, the Warriors were they were brilliant, especially that forward pack just dominated and, Metcalf and the quick guys on the back of it, just scoring points for fun. Any games that stood out to you over the weekend? Look, I think for me this weekend, I caught a few games and just some of the score lines, a lot of points being scored. Maybe it's like the back end of the season, a few teams starting to check out. But, Dolphins-Broncos. Broncos got out to a huge lead, then Dolphins chased them down. The Eels nearly caught the Rabbits in a similar fashion. Rabbits were up by a ton. Storm put 42. Storm put 42 on Manly. And then even my Knights on Sunday, we got the job done, but it wasn't convincing. A few players out, so we'll hang our hats on that we'll come back full strength and dominate. But down there in Canberra, a lot of points scored again. So I think maybe defence, we'll start to see defence ramp up, I think, into the finals. But for now, plenty of points being scored. Any player of the round? Player of the round? Look, I'll give it to your boy, Luke Metcalf. I mean, he's I know he's been healthy for a while, but sort of been sitting on the bench, biding his time, playing reserve grade, come back, 2 tries. The only problem now is he's off to the Dragons. Yes. And we saw some movement with the PNG Chiefs over the week. I think it's Brian To'o. Yeah, Brian To'o, the Chiefs, Big movements happening, actually. Keen to see who they sign next. Yeah, they're putting together a pretty good team of players there, and they all look like they fit together pretty well. Would be if Scarlett was here, would be a bit scary is they need a halfback to tie them together, and obviously Cleary's the big name out there. Yes, Cleary, we'll see. I think it's a very attractive package they're kind of selling to these players. So interesting to see the team they pull together. And this coming week, we've got some exciting games. I'm looking forward to Broncos-Warriors. I think that'll be big game for the Warriors, actually. We've got a few people coming back from injuries. So, and as you said, second half of the season. Well, it's really getting into the business end of the season. Yeah, so I think you're a couple of points behind. So maybe, win every game, still a chance of that minor premiership, top 4. But Panthers-Roosters, I think, is the first game of the round. They're both, I think they're equal, top of the table on points. So could be the minor premier in that game. And the way they've been playing, you probably ought to call the Roosters on form. Is that on Friday, that game? I think it might be Thursday. It's the first game of the round. So, I think it'll be a Thursday game. Oh, very exciting. But, that'll be we might see that one again in finals, the way they're playing. So we'll see how we go. Awesome. Thank you for joining me, Luke. And thank you, everyone, for watching another episode of Markets and Matchups. We'll see you next week.